Have you ever seen something online and you wonder if it's really worth it or if it even works or if it's total junk? Well, that was kind of my thought with these things. So today we're going to walk through and see if it actually does what it's supposed to do. This is the Multifunction 10-in-1 Survival Compass Kit. Alright everybody, welcome back. And like I said in the intro, this is one of those projects, one of those items that I've just seen so many times, and I've seen it in so many survival videos and in people's bug out bags, and I'm kind of always wondering, is it really worth it? And does it work? You know, it's one of those gimmicky kind of items made in China, and you wonder, I don't know. But maybe, maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. From what I'm seeing so far in here, it seems to be doing what it's supposed to do on the front here. Now, you've got 10 different functions on here. It's called a T10. They're made by tons of other companies. I don't even know who makes this one. This was just the one I found that was the least expensive online. But it's called a T10 Multifunction Compass and Survival Tool. You got a thermometer. You've got a hygrometer. You've got done to measure humidity on the bottom. You've got a mirror, a compass, a level, a magnifying glass, a ruler, an LED light, a whistle, a flint fire starter, and a striker. You also have 2 button cell batteries inside there that are included. So at first, when I see this, I'm like, that's a bunch of toys in one thing, and it's a gimmick. But we're going to actually put it to the test and see if it does what it's supposed to do. So first off, on the front here, yes, this is very high humidity for where I live, and yes, it is about to maybe rain? Not sure. It's definitely dark and cloudy out. The temperature is right on the money, Celsius-wise. My charge control on the other side of the room there does the ambient temperature of the room, and that's right on the money. It's like 32, 31. So that's right on the money for Celsius. It's right on there. So it's warm and humid in here today, so this video is not going to be as long as I thought it was going to be. Anyway, it's kind of a neat little tool. It opens up like this. You have a signaling mirror that you can use to signal. I believe that's the sensor for the humidity meter there. And I always have a hard time saying it's hygrometer. But that's the sensor for it. First I thought it was some kind of speaker or something, or some kind of noise maker, but it isn't. You have a bubble level in here. You have the compass, of course. And we're going to check out the accuracy of that. You have a little bit of a ruler. It actually does have graduation markings on it. And you have a little bit of a magnifying glass there. Magnifying glass can be helpful reading maps. It can be helpful reading really fine print on maps. There's a good example. So it actually works. Not too hard to make a plastic magnifying glass, however. If you're having trouble seeing your compass, you can use it for that. You can start fires with it. The ruler is in inches and centimeters. So that's kind of neat. The bubble level is nice. And when you turn the light on this is the switch on the side here. When you turn the light on, that will light up. It actually lights up pretty nicely, and it'll also light up here so you can see the top of your compass. So far, some cool features. Let's move on to the other features featured in this little tool. Alright, you'll notice little things on the side here. There's a couple of little items in there. And you'll notice this pin up here actually looks like it's the pin that's the hinge pin, but it's also a pin that comes out. This reason for this is to get these items out of your thing there. So I believe, I've only taken this apart once before, yes, this is the striker for the ferro rod. Now you may think, well, how the heck good is that? It keeps moving side to side. Well, the reason is you're supposed to take this and put it through there. And that's your striker. Now, yeah, that's tiny. You got to be quite, we will test this. You got to be quite efficient with it to actually get it to work. All right, next tool. Let's go down here and push. And these holes here, you just push out whatever's in there. There. Whoops. Ooh, dropped it. You have a ferro rod. That is a very small ferro rod. But again, if you have nothing, if your main ferro rod gets lost, if you're really in a pinch, it might be handy to have. Again, we're going to test it out and see if it's worth it. Alright, had to go down and pick up a pin that I dropped. I'm going to push out this. I already got some of it out. This is your whistle. Let's see how efficient it is. Well, it's loud once you figure out how to use it. Definitely works. And those are your extra tools on the inside there. One of the things I do like about this is even when it's closed, you can get a reading on the compass. And we're going to check the compass in a bit here. But first I want to test out the other tools in the fire starter. So let me get something set up here with a little bit of fat wood, strike it, and let's see if it actually works. All right, so I got a tiny, tiny little bit of dryer lint underneath a whole bunch of fat wood. I want to give myself as much chance as possible to start a fire with this thing. I did rub off the black on it. I have gotten a couple of sparks off it. I don't know, it's not going to be easy to use it like a traditional fire starter where you'll go in and scrape and then hit. So I'm really going to have the luck of a spark hitting the right thing and catching it on fire. So let's give it a try here. Put it this way. No, that's not going to work. We just have to strike down on it. There's one. So it does work. It makes sparks. I just don't know if it's efficient enough to actually... I see. And that broke right out of there. So right off the bat, I would say the fire starter isn't all that efficient. Now it does slide right back in there. It didn't break. It slipped out. So maybe a little bit of crazy glue, and that would be fine. But again, I'm looking at this going, I don't think so, It might work. If it does, I'll be really impressed with myself. Yeah, see, it keeps sliding out. So I'll have to glue that in there. Just something to know, if you're using this tool. And there it goes. And it's behind the desk. So that pretty much is useless. That went down there behind the desk. I'm going to have to dig it out and find it. So for a fire starter, nah. I don't think so. Definitely didn't seem to have enough oomph to put out a spark that really worked well. But let's check out the last thing, and probably the most important thing of all, which is the compass. And let's see. Again, nothing's going to replace your decent military compass. This is a Kamanga phosphorus U.S. military compass. A lot cheaper than the tritium one, but nothing's going to replace it. But, if the compass works and the other stuff works, it's not too bad. And I guess knowing what I know now and having to dig out my ferro rod that rolled back behind there, I'm going to glue it in place. But I wouldn't say it's a efficient fire starter. It's way too small. And as you see, it failed right there. So not cool on that part, but the rest of this stuff seems to work. So let's test out the compass. Now, this is my compass right here. It's facing that way with east, that way, and west. About 140 there. All right, let's see if this actually does it. I want to keep that far away from this compass because the Kamanga compass has a magnet that locks it in place when it moves. So I don't want the magnet to affect this. All right, let's put it down. And that's about right. Yeah, see, it's about 130, 129 degrees facing that way. Let's see. See, this is what I mean. Watch. See? That's why you don't want to put that near there. And as you can tell, compass is pretty dead on. So I'm not totally bummed out by this. It does work. Again, I carry a ferro rod with me everywhere I go. Would I really need to have such a tiny one? Nah, it's nice to have a backup, but I have smaller ones that, I have ones that are not smaller, a little bit bigger, and they're in the wristband kind of thing, where I can pull everything out of a tool with some paracord wristband. And, I'd rather have that than something that small. That thing just literally fell out, and it didn't break, as you can see. It didn't break out. It just kept sliding out and eventually rolled back behind there. There's a little crease behind my desk. That's how small it is. I mean, there's like a tiny little crease behind my desk and where the wall is. So for a fire starter, no. For everything else, it seems to work pretty darn well. The fire starter, I feel, is kind of gimmicky. I could probably get another thing to stick in there if I can't find it, but I'm sure I'll be able to find that down there. But all in all, hey, you know what? For $8, it's a decent compass alone. That alone right there is good. I guess in a real emergency, you could really sit there and plug away at your ferro rod and hope it works. But I mean, if I was really needing a fire right now, I'd really be out of luck because that ferro rod went down there. So I wouldn't depend on it as a backup with the ferro rod at all. But the bubble level seems to work because my table is a little bit off to this side. So I do have to tilt it to get it in place. But that seems to work very well. Everything else works. This is a very nice, shiny, reflective surface. So I could definitely signal my way, out of an emergency. It does have a little line up there so I can line up my compass. And the temperature, the humidity, and the temperature gauge seem to work perfectly as long as you know your Celsius to Fahrenheit conversions because it's analog. There's no converting this. You can't just switch it. And the light does work too. So not a total loss, but the ferro rod, nah. Don't like it. I got to hunt for it behind my thing. But anyway, that is the Multifunction 10-in-1 Survival Compass Kit. You can pick them up for about $8.40. I will put a link down below where I picked this one up. It's the least expensive one I was able to find on there. They are about 2.75 inches by 1.5 inches by 1 inches. So I mean, they're not a huge item. And as a backup for your compass, or maybe something you wear on the outside of your pack where you can see, your humidity and your temperature, kind of handy. Would I use it to start a fire again? Absolutely not. Doesn't seem to work very well. But it is a neat tool, and I would even make that suggestion to the company if they're going to sell it, as an emergency fire starter, at least make sure the thing works, or a little bit bigger, and glue it into the handle, definitely. So anyway, that's the review for today. Like I said, I'll put a link down below if you want to check one out. It's not really something I would recommend. I would recommend you have a decent fire rod, decent fire steel, and the back of your knife, and one of these. And the other tools, well, you got a flashlight with you. Lord knows after the last few flash sales, one of you has a flashlight on you. So, I would recommend individual tools. Tools like this don't do anything really good. They do a lot of things okay. That's why I recommend individual tools. But hey, you know what? I like it. I'm probably going to keep it around. You never know. It might have a use in some kind of backup emergency kit or something. The compass does work. Got to say that. The compass works flawlessly. And I do like the fact that you can read the compass from the side. And the light on there is kind of handy too, But not a very bright light. It's a little tiny LED. But it's better than nothing. And it also lights up the inside in darkness so you can see what you're doing. So, not a total loss. Just a crummy fire starter. Other than that, there you go. So I will put a link down below where you can pick one up if you're interested in it. If not, check out our Amazon store. If you don't see anything in the store you want to buy, just use the link and shop as you normally would. Really helps out the channel a whole lot, even if you're just buying stuff there and it doesn't cost anything extra. You don't have to shop in the store. Just click the link and shop as normal. Don't forget to check out our Olight link as well. I know that we've had some flash sales. I think there's one going on today too. So don't forget to check out that. My last video will give you more information on that. And don't forget to check out my Thrive Life link down below if you're interested in getting started in some freeze-dried food, folks. Anyway, thanks for watching. Stay safe and stay prepared.